What does it feel like as you start to think about your life as a lawyer?
To know that I can do it, I'm just so ready to get out there and inspire. I was so scared of, can I do this? Is this really for me? And I know that I can do it now. The fact that I came this far, I didn't let anything stop me. And I wasn't going to let it stop me. I was going to keep going until I saw I was at the finish line. And I feel like if I can do that, there's nothing that I can't prepare for, that I can't overcome. So I'm going into this, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Welcome back to Hanging Out with Successful Bar Exam Takers. And today we have the opportunity to do an interview that I've waited a very long time for, and I'm very excited about. We have a newly passing Florida bar applicant. Samantha, how are you today?
Hello, I'm doing fine.
Boy, this has been quite a trip for you, hasn't it?
Ooh, about 5 years in the making.
5 years. And I know that you have overcome an incredible number of hurdles to pass the bar exam. And I actually want to start with one of the big ones that little birdie told me about, which was that when you were in law school, you had a professor that said something to you that was pretty damaging, wasn't it?
Yes, yes.
Can you share that?
So the first semester, the first semester, he called me to his office and he said, "Hey, you should take a leave of absence. You're not ready. You're not going to pass. You should take a leave of absence. You're going to flunk out your first semester and you won't be allowed back in. So take a leave of absence. I'll vouch for you when you're ready to come back."
And what was your reaction to that?
I looked at him and I was just like, "No, I'm not going to take a leave of absence. I'm not going to fail and I will graduate." And
Well,
I
you
was,
did graduate.
I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. But that stuck with you, didn't it?
It did. Every time I did not pass the bar exam, I felt maybe he was right. I just kept going back to maybe he was right. Maybe this is not meant for me or I'm not meant for this.
Yeah. Will you share with our audience how many times you took the exam?
I've
Okay.
taken the bar exam from July of 2018 up until this February 2023, and I've missed out on about 2 exams.
And what was the closest that you had come to passing before this last exam?
I wanna say it was a 134.5.
Okay, so a point and a half away. Why didn't you give up? Why didn't you just do what this professor told you to do and just say, it's not for me and I'm not good enough for this?
With celebration, I kept getting and doing everything that you would tell me to do, I kept getting closer and closer. So I knew I just had to hone in on everything that you told me to do, and eventually I would succeed.
Yeah, and here you are. What a moment that must have been when you found out that you passed.
Yes, I screamed. My mother was here, my kids were at school, so my mom was here, and my biggest supporter, she was supposed to be coming from work, but she was off. So I was able to scream and hug her and cry in her arms.
That's a great feeling. I want to talk about what you did to prepare for the exam because I think a lot of people will be inspired by the fact that you just hung in there and you kept at it and you eventually got over the top. One of the things that I know was part of the process is that you came to our live bar prep boot camp. Tell me a little bit about boot camp and what that meant for you.
Boot camp started the trajectory of passing because that opened my eyes. That was the first time I experienced photo reading or got what photo reading was. And from there, I just practiced my photo reading skills. Also, what inspired me, there was a woman that came when I was at the boot camp, and she had taken the bar, trying to pass the bar. And her story touched me. And what you said to me when we went to dinner that night is your story too is going to be inspiring. And so from there, that encouraged me to take everything that I learned from boot camp and just keep working at it. Boot camp was definitely a game changer for me.
As we're recording right now, we've got a new boot camp coming up and we have a couple of spots left. And I've heard from some people who say, I don't know if it would be worthwhile. It's expensive. I got to travel and there are things I have to arrange to make it happen. Would you encourage them to come to boot camp?
Definitely make it happen. My scores boosted enough to keep going with what I learned from boot camp in order to see a pass. And yes, it's easy to make excuses. Yes, the price could be scary, but what is a price tag on your success? Can you put a price tag on your success? When I went to boot camp, my daughter was a little bit younger than 2. I did what I had to. I made my daughter's father come with me and he babysat my daughter and I made it happen.
Yeah. I remember that, and I remember how excited it was for you, and we could see the growth, and we could see you starting to move towards this position where you're going to be successful on the exam. Let's talk a little bit about what you did to prepare before the February test. You were a photo you had also gone through writing coaching with me. We'd done some work together there, and I know that you had been in our group coaching calls, particularly with June, right? Our fairy godmother, our mindset coach. And then you had also been part of the Abundance for Bar study webinar that we had done. So you had all of those things. What was a typical study week like for you leading up to this exam?
It was okay, so I would wake up, depending on if I was able to get my study time, I centered it around my kids and quiet time. So wherever I could find quiet time. So if it was earlier on in the evening, that's when my studying took place. If it had to be maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, I'd have to wake up because that's so when I could get quiet time. I would do at least 2 hours of studying in the morning, and then if I was able to study at nighttime, then I would at least do my 3 hours at night. That way I'd get at least 5 hours of studying in. What I will say from the abundance for bar exam,
Mhm.
it's when you get us into the stages of thinking.
Yeah, you were working with the brain waves and getting
Yes.
into the right mindset and the right willingness to absorb material, right? And so you
Yes.
got yourself in that. We did that at boot camp too a little bit, didn't we?
Yes. Yes.
And was
So
that helpful to you?
very helpful. There were days where leading up to the bar exam, I would practice with that because I knew that I would just go play it for myself and then off I go. So I wanted to get into that habit of calming myself down and channeling, being in a space where I could think better. I could go ahead and get those answers out in the 90 seconds and move on to the next. And that was a game changer. Not harping on what I answered last helped me. When I tell you, I felt confident.
What did it feel like going to the bar exam? You've been to Tampa a lot of times, right? You knew the proctors probably by face, and you're coming back in this last time. Did you feel confident about how you were doing?
Yes, I felt confident so much so that I didn't need students, bar takers huddle around each other for comfort. You do. I didn't need that. For the first time, I did not need that, nor did I want it. I wanted to be in my space. I wanted to be in my calmness. I just knew something in me. I knew it was different. It was going to be different. So I walked in with that confidence. I didn't exactly dress with a suit on, but I dressed where I knew this is it. This is it.
Yeah. What Samantha's talking about is that I often recommend to people that they dress for court when they take the bar exam. They're like, oh, I don't want to do that. But it does make a difference, that attitude and posture, doesn't it? Be- when you first started this process, it was so demoralizing to you, right? There were so many setbacks, and it just felt like you weren't gaining much traction. Then you came to boot camp and we talked, and I remember that night at dinner, and I said, "You're going to inspire a lot of people when you pass the bar." And you got wide-eyed and looked at me, and I think it was the moment when it started to dawn on you that you would pass, not that you just couldn't do it. Is that accurate to say?
Very much so. Because the first time I took the bar, it was a big bar review. And I was better before I started the big bar review than I was after I left the big bar review. So that kind of tainted my belief that I could pass. And then hearing it from you, this is the man that's helped so many people pass, and he's doing it a different way. To hear from you that your story is going to be, not maybe, but going to be, that moved me in a way because I said, if Jackson can see me passing, you know what? It's time I open my eyes and I see me passing too.
Yeah, and it wasn't hard to see you passing. I knew that with your family and just coming into this process, that there were a lot of challenges in your life, but I also saw that you were a determined person. I think that determination is what's going to make you a terrific lawyer. You're a bulldog. I'd like to have you on my side. What does it feel like as you start to think about your life as a lawyer now?
To know that I can do it, I'm just so ready to get out there and inspire. I was so scared of, can I do this? Can I do this? Is this really for me? And I know that I can do it now. The fact that I came this far, I didn't let anything stop me. And I wasn't going to let it stop me. I was going to keep going until I saw I was at the finish line. And I feel like that in of itself, if I can do that, There's nothing that I can't prepare for, that I can't overcome. So going into this new career, I'm ready. I'm ready.
You're very active in our group coaching calls, and I know that you worked very closely with June, our mindset coach. Do you want to talk a little bit about what those calls were like for you?
Those mindset calls are needed. There's going to be times where you feel alone, where you feel you can't do this anymore, where you're going to make excuses because you feel like you can't do it anymore. That mindset coaching, it at first you can relate to others. So when you first walk in, when you first log in, you hear everybody's week, so you're able to relate because you realize I'm not the only one that had a bad week. And then June calms you down and gives you that little dose of reality when you need it to push you back into the game. And you feel refreshed after coming out of a mind coaching call with June. She does coach the mind to, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do this.
And I think she might be your biggest fan, Samantha. She just was so excited when she got the news that you had passed. I know that there are a lot of people out there who have taken the Florida bar or other bars, and they've not been successful, as you put it. It's not that they failed, they just haven't passed the bar yet. And but it's easy to start thinking that you're a failure, isn't it, when you have these consistent results?
It is.
And how do you overcome that? How do you get past that sense that not getting a passing score on the exam makes you a personal failure?
The coaching calls, you resetting yourself. You have to change the way you think or change the way you think about your bar, taking the bar. You have to focus more so on the journey to take up everything you need to take up on the journey. Everybody, I was in a rush. I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for myself. I just wanted to see that pass. I wasn't taking a chance and appreciating everything that was going on while I was preparing for that pass. And June's mindset coaching calls help you to realize the journey. And then once you start appreciating everything that's going on while you're on your way to this pass, it makes it much more attainable for you. Therefore, you start thinking different. So you start thinking better. So you start doing better.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Now, you said your kids were at school when you got your results, right?
Yeah.
What's their reaction? What do they think? What do they think?
It was important for me. Of course, I got the congratulations, mom, but it was important for me to show my children that they can do it. Because especially my son was able to see that and to show him that I passed, to show him that he could do anything he wanted to do. And no matter how many naysayers say no, for every naysayer, you have several more people backing you up, telling you can do it, and not to stop. So it was important, especially to my daughter, because God forbid if somebody was to tell her she can't or she doesn't have it. Like I was told, I want her to be able to say, my mommy did it, so I can do it. To use me as an example, it was a core memory for me to tell my kids that I passed the bar.
What a great moment and how proud they must be of you, right?
I hope so. I hope so.
Oh, I know they are. One of the things that when people get discouraged about this process, they start to think that there's just no way out. But one of the things that I really appreciated about you was that you embrace these new ideas like photo reading. I'd like you to talk for a minute about what photo reading is and how it worked for you. As you said, you didn't do it before you came to boot camp. So what was photo reading for you?
So when I first started photo reading, it was on the actual book. So I learned at first, it was just, I'm going to trust the process. You know what Jackson says? It was, okay, take it in, turn the page. Take it in, turn the page. At first, I went into this, okay, all right, I'm going to look directly in the middle of the page. I'm going to zone in, I'm going to focus, and I'm just going to turn the page and keep a steady rhythm. And eventually, I started getting the hang of it. It wasn't until I started answering the multiple choice. And I'm like, I got that. Oh, wait, I know this. There's a connection that takes place once you photo read. It's almost intuitive. You become more intuitive with your answer selections once you start to photo read, letting your subconscious take over. It feels weird because we're not taught that way. We're not taught to let our subconscious just take over. But boy, oh boy, it
So when
works.
somebody asked you, does photo reading work? How would you answer that?
Definitely. Don't walk to try it, run to try it.
Oh, that's wonderful. What advice would you offer someone who is taking the exam and they've not been successful and they're thinking maybe they should quit now?
Don't quit. Try something new. Every time I didn't see a pass, I said, you know what? This system is working because score is increasing. So let me see what else I can add that can just bump it up that much. The biggest game changer for my essays was the essay workshop. That was a game changer because I took those two little courses. When I tell you everything she taught me, I kept it with me. And every time I would write an essay, I remember all of the critiques that I got. And that was a game changer. Seeing that pass for the Florida portion with my essays, I never thought I would see it. So just don't give up. Try something different every time. If you had the personal coaching call, you'll see your improvement if you actually do what you're told to do. Take it in. Don't take it as meanness. Take it as constructive criticism and do just that. And try something new every time. I would try the photo reading. I did the abundance. Every time I was doing something new or rearranging it, instead of when I started off with listening to the lectures, I started off on the computer. I moved to doing the smartcast on the TV. So I heard it different. Every time I heard a lecture, it felt a little bit different every time. And I just kept at it. Don't give up. Don't give up. Try something different. Reach in to see what else is it that I can try to pull out what celebration has to offer is
Yeah,
how I looked at it. And you can too. Look at it that way and you'll parachute into success.
that's fabulous. Thank you. I guess I've got to finish with asking this question. We started by talking about the professor that told you that you maybe weren't cut out for this. Have you gone back to that professor to let them know that you passed the bar?
Not yet. I'm waiting until I'm sworn in.
Okay, that's going to
And
be a moment.
it's
Maybe they'll see
quiet,
this
quiet.
interview. Yeah, maybe they'll see the interview. I, I know that you will inspire a lot of people by your journey thus far, but I also know, just from knowing you, Samantha, that you're going to be an inspiring member of the bar. You're going to make a difference in the bar. And I'm so proud of you. And I'm so glad that we could be part of the journey in helping you get to this spot. But I know that in your community, it's going to make a difference. And so I just want to congratulate you on persevering, hanging in there, and being that beacon of hope for so many other people, as I think you will be as a member of the bar. I am just deeply grateful and congratulations again to you. It just must feel terrific.
Thank you. It does. And I tell you, I feel like it wouldn't have happened without coming to Celebration Bar Review because it's like I found a light. I found a light when I found Celebration Bar Review. I found a family when I found Celebration Bar Review. I found accountability teammates. I found so much in Celebration. And it was a pleasure. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you and everybody at Celebration who does what they do because without you guys, oh, I don't think stories like there wouldn't be as many stories as mine. You guys do so much. You touch us so many other ways than just helping us see that pass. It's you guys are, thank you. You guys are wonderful.
I'm very appreciative of that. Thank you so much. We wish you all the best. I know that you're going to stay in touch with us, and we just love having you in our community, and you're an inspiration to our students and to our staff. And so this is one of those moments that we just really do get to celebrate, and we thank you for that. And to our audience, I hope that you are as inspired and excited to see this story. It's fabulous. And I know that all of our audience joins me in wishing you, Samantha, the very best as you go forward. With that, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.